We are live.
Oh, wow. God is good. This thing comes faster and faster every time we have the show. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Victoria L. And below me is my sister, Maggie. Say hello to the people.
Hi.
And our sister Tanya is here, but she has a little son in the background. She's trying to get it right. That's what the great single mothers do. But Tanya is here with us. She'll be back. And then we have this amazing guest. Oh, Tanya, what'd you say?
I said, hey.
We need to see you, but hey. All right. So, and then we have this amazing guest. He's an author. And he knew us when we were, this is the Cathedral Connection, clearly. Everybody who's been on this show know about Cathedral. So this is Mr. Daryl Jackson. So we want to welcome him to talk about his book, his amazing book that he came out with, to talk about, it's not that hard, finding the right guy or just being a great guy. And this is from the male's perspective. And of course, it's available on Amazon. We'll talk about it after. So, okay, Mr. Daryl, can you give us a little information about you?
Exactly. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. As far as me, I'm a simple man, quiet man, and all of you all's parents can tell you. I've always just kind of been simple and laid back. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Lived there until started going to high school. I went to a high school in Birmingham, Alabama, because that's where my mother's from. And, at one time she got pretty sick and she just wanted my brother now to be around family in case something happened to her. But God is good and blessing her, and she's still here and living with us.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. I know.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So I did all 4 years of high school in Birmingham. And after that, at 17, I signed up for the Marine Corps, which my mom didn't know until a recruiter was knocking on the door for her to sign my papers.
What?
Yeah. So I did Marine Corps and was an engineer for a while, and then got laid off twice, and that's how I ended up truck driving, going coast to coast.
Well, it is Veterans Day today, so thank you for your service.
Yes, we do Veterans Day. Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, look at little Cooper in the background. Tanya.
There's Tanya.
Cooper. Say little doggy Cooper.
I'm sorry,
There you go.
Hello.
We let him through.
Right.
He was trying to get out.
So tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay. I ended up writing the book because I usually have, or at least for 20 years or so, I've had people come to me. Mm-hmm. And again, laid back, quiet. Usually wherever I go across the country, I'm kind of off to myself or whatever, but I'd have people coming to me and just telling me their business, men and women, all about their business, all kinds of details I don't want to hear, intimate details, and even people that I know, and a lot of people at Cathedral, just told me over time that I need to write a book, and I said, well, I don't talk that much. How would I have enough to say to put in a book? But they said, especially women said, the way that I talk to, treat, and relate to women and the way they relate to me is what women want from a man and from their relationship. So, so about 20 years or so ago, I just, or at least over the past 20 years, I just figured I ought to write a book. So I did. And that's how I ended up writing the book, because I kept getting that from women and men, which was surprising to me, that men. And a lot of information, even though I wrote it mainly for women, as far as because I know and have so many family members that have been in bad relationships, abusive relationships, and lived in shelters. Most of them had told me it was because they chose the wrong man. So I put a lot of help in there for them. I put a lot of help in there, information for men also, because it turns out a lot of brothers, especially young brothers, there's a lot of things that women want, and even just how to be a man, they were never taught. Nobody ever told them. They never had a man in their life to teach them. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of information there for men too.
Nice.
So what is the title of your book?
The title of my book is Not Hard to Find,
There we go.
Hard to
Yes,
find.
on Amazon.
How
Mhm.
to on Amazon, how to find or be a good man from a man's point of view.
How
Nice.
to find
I'm
or
on Amazon.
get a good man.
Okay. All
How
right.
to find or be a good man.
He
Or
said
B.
B.
Be a good
Yes.
man.
How to find.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Now let me ask you a question about how did you come up with that title? Because you know, in the church they say a man find a wife. So you know how people might look at it and say, "Wow, find? What you mean? So I'm supposed to find him, or is he supposed to find me? Like, what does that look like?" So how did you come to that title? Mm-hmm.
The reason I came to that title is because over that time with all the women that I've talked to, the main thing they kept saying is a good man is hard to find. A good man
Yes.
is hard to find. A good man is hard to find. Just everywhere. That's what they said. So that's how I came up with the title as not hard to find, because a lot of them ask me, and even recently, yes, there are still a lot of good men out there. The problem is a lot of women, and even though you say the man's supposed to find a woman, and that's Bible, but there are a lot of women that are taking it upon themselves to find, and they tired of waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're tired of waiting. But in that, and I understand that, a lot of the ladies have told me they're tired of being single, tired of getting with the wrong man. So that's why I wrote the book, and that's why I chose that title, to help them out and to try to help them know, if this is the right one or you need to keep looking.
So not to try and give too much away from the book, what's maybe one or two pointers? Because initially when I heard the title, I was like, okay. And we listen to a lot of different, whether it's podcasts or speakers or relationship, marriage, whatever. And one of the things when I heard you talking just now was like, is he gonna put a spin on this and say, woman, you need to be like, you may think you're a good woman, but there are things you need to check about yourself and make sure you're, so I just, any pointers that you could, maybe two things that's not giving away the book, but two main things that you like there.
No, that's fine. And I don't mind, giving away the book or delving into it, because I tell a lot of people that I wrote the book to sell, to help people, not sell books. So and that's why I've also given away and sent some around the country to different shelters. And again, because so many women just chose the wrong man, and that's how they ended up in the shelter. And hopefully this will help. But I do come from that aspect to a point, as far as what women can do to, I call it self-analysis or self-check, especially when they are repeatedly picking the same kind of man. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I put that in there, and everything from dating to relationships, talks. One of the chapters is talks you must have, because I found out that a lot of people, men and women, are going in relationships with the person that they think are for them, but say that woman or that man doesn't want to have any kids, or they may have kids as grown, but the other person they get with, they want their own seed with you, you know, and that's a conflict. That's a conflict, and you think this is the one for me or whatever, but now, you know, he or she wants kids and I don't. So that's a problem. So I do put self-analysis in there, Maggie, for women, but I mainly wrote it from the man's point of view, because so many women say a good man is hard to find. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. But since you said you're not afraid, you don't mind delving in a little deeper. What are some of those other, I don't want to call them difficult conversations, but questions you need to ask up front? Kids being one, do you want more kids, or what are those other things?
Great question.
Yeah. I talk about everything from kids to dating, different things. One thing is one of my chapters, which covers both chapters, is chivalry is not dead. So many of our women, especially our sisters, they accept a man, even though he might look good, he might be fine in their words, but he does not open doors for them. He does not help them with their chairs. And so many women are willing to compromise that and overlook that, you know, that, and my point is, if that's what you want, then either you need to speak up and tell that person that, or you need to keep looking because that's not the one for you. Because I've heard so many men say that, you know, that's not what I do, or I don't do that, you know.
I got
Then
a question.
as a woman, if you know that's what you want, then you know that's not the one for you.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Tanya.
Yes, I do have a question. Okay, I like that chivalry is not dead because I'm so. I got a question. I've been seeing it floating around. Look, little stuff in the background.
Veronica's come in. Hey, Veronica.
Oh, okay. Okay, so if let me just say this. If do you believe it's good for whoever, let's say a guy asks you out on a date,
Okay.
who should pay for the first date? Who should pay for the next date? I'm just curious. I'm really curious.
We laugh because Tanya is on that stuff right now.
I'm diving around this because I've seen so many questions about who pays for the date. Is it the person who asked for the date? Is the person who set it up and said, hey, let's go here? Or should it always be the guy? Because I've seen so much pushback from a lot of men making comments about, well, a lot of women just using me. So if she asks to go here, then I'm going to pay for it. Then, you know, because it's a touchy situation, because I think men have been abused in that situation. And women, like you said, sometimes I compromise a good woman, you know, who wants to expect that. But then sometimes I feel guilty because I don't want a man to think that I'm that woman that's trying to abuse him because he's always paying for the date. So what is like expected, let's just say now?
Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, another reason I wrote the book, because I had so many friends of mine and they would talk to me about their dates or their boyfriends or whatever. They would ask me, how do I find a man like you? Okay. So a man like me who wrote that book will always pay. I mean, it's just what I do, is how I was raised, you know, that men are always pay. We always open the doors for you. We always pull your chair out, help you with your coat, even when nobody's around to see it, you know. And I tell my sisters that that's how you know it's sincere and he's not just doing it for show. So as far as paying for the meal, even if he asks or if she asks him out, you know, I will always pay. That type of man, you know, and again, according to my book, that type of man that you're looking for will always pay. It's not a question. And the only time he doesn't is when the woman insists, you know, and put out her credit card and give it to her, you know, just because she wants to, you know. But to me, it's not an option. You know, does that make sense to you or answer your question?
It does. It does. Now, let me ask you this question.
Tanya, before you go to the second question, Tanya, we did have a male. Maurice in the chat said, whoever asked pays for the date.
Right. And again, that goes to a man like me.
What type of man you looking for?
I mean, a man like me that wrote the book according to my standards and the level of chivalry that I was taught. It doesn't matter who asks for the date. That man will always pay.
Okay. And that's what makes you. That's what I mean. It's just a matter of your own decision. Because we know the women on this phone, we know our parents, our daddies would say what? Girls or ladies on
they always gonna pay.
Man, my daddy, my brother, they always don't.
I'm just saying I'm just saying it just depends on your situation. Sorry, I just had to put that out there.
I tried to pay one time on Father's Day and my dad was like, I'll pay this, you just pay for me to get a drink. I was like,
you know, and again, you know, I mean, and that brother that made the comment, I mean, that's his opinion, you know, and it may be the way that he is, and it's cool, you know, and I don't take away from that, but it doesn't affect how I am and who I am and how I treat women, even if it's not, you know, my wife. You know, when I was single and going out or whatever, we're not married, I don't have an obligation, but that's just my standard. That's my personal standard.
Right.
That's what that is.
Right.
Is
Next
it?
And what
question.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say another thing that I put in my book, that different things that I do according to chivalry and the way I was raised. I've had so many women tell me, and even friends I never dated, that's what made me stand out from all the other guys.
Wow. Well, kudos to you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all we can say is thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because we've
It's a
discussed
personal standard.
It is
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Personal standard.
Right.
Personal
You even
standard.
answered that in the question I was about to ask when you said you even do it for friendships, you even do it for, if you
Right.
out with a lady, because, I have some guy friends that always, even though we're just friends, if we're out, even in a group or something like that, they want to pay for, if I'm the only girl there or something like that, or two girls, they want to pay because that's just, like you said, how they were raised. And they know we have a friendship outside of money.
Right.
And okay.
With that type of man, again, being my personal standard, if I pay for your food or whatever, you know that you have no sense of obligation to me. And again, that's what made me stand out from other guys. They expect something. You know what I mean?
Can I ask one more question? I guess, Victoria, before we bring Veronica in and talk about relationships,
I want to know what she got to say about it. Yeah.
Right. One more question I would ask you is that in this generation, or as we see lots of or more single parent family homes, and a lot of young men being raised by their mothers,
right?
And even just not in this, even in our generation, our age, because like you said, some men will say they just weren't raised to open the door and they didn't see that being modeled in front of them, so they don't even think about it. So the title in your book, or How to Be a Good Man, are you teaching men how to think differently? Are you teaching men how to, if a woman asks, can you open the door? Can you do these different things? How do you kind of, I guess, get to the men in the book, if that makes sense?
How do I get what? You cut out.
How do you get across to the men, or how do you communicate how you can change their behavior to be the man that these women want?
Well, it's the answer is twofold, or in two parts. One is when I talk to men, and well, even men in our generation or younger, their question is, that's what women, or what do women want? What do they expect from me? I wasn't raised to open the door or pull out a chair or whatever, but if that's what the woman wants, and especially if that's the woman you want, then you will do that for her. And if that's the woman you want and you do that behavior, being chivalrous and doing that for her, then it can't just be to get her. I mean, it has to be ongoing. You have to make it a way of life for you, or a new way of life. If you're being sincere, if this is the woman you want, and if you just don't want sex. And the other side of that is from the woman's point of view. So many women, what I call settled, or they drop or lower their standards, where they'll accept this guy not doing the stuff they want, even though they want it, but then it's like they would basically have sex immediately or almost, or within a week or 2 weeks or whatever. Then they start making demands. Hey, you need to pull out my chair. Where he's like, why do I have to pull out your chair to have sex with you? Why I got to do it now? And there's so many women don't understand that. You can't give the trophy first and then start making demands, or give your pressure. And I put that in my book. You can't start making demands after you've given the man the prize already.
Okay.
He has no incentive to run your race. Does that make sense?
It does.
A lot of sense. Is Miss Veronica here yet? Because I really am excited.
Miss Veronica is here. Hello, everyone.
Can we see your pretty face? Can we see your pretty face?
I'm actually in the dark almost. I'm actually in my car coming from
event.
And so you won't be able to see me.
Oh, no.
I always like for that. So just please enjoy the picture in the meantime.
Right. Oh, that's a pretty picture too. Yes, but
Well, thank you. I just apologize for that. I am
great,
in a car.
Hello,
hey,
baby.
babe. How you doing?
I'm all right, baby.
Good stuff. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hey.
I've been enjoying the conversation so far, just listening in.
Right. So, what do you think about what he said as far as, well, I mean, hey, was that a standard of yours when you guys met? That, sir, you got to pull out a check. Sir, you got to pay. Sir, like, what were your standards for him?
That's a great question. You know, I did not have to ask him because, as he said, he is who he is. But what came to me in getting reconnected with my husband, I don't know if he shared a story,
I
but
haven't had a chance to
he
tell the story yet.
hasn't. So you
He was coming. He was coming.
Okay, please let me advise you.
No, please do, please.
Yes, we were absolute high school sweethearts. And believe it or not, I was dating one of his high school classmates at the time, and his, back in the day, I don't know, 80s or so. You know, your guy comes over, he wants to go visit his girlfriend, and he wants to take his fellas with him. Yeah. Well, that's what happened in my case. So my boyfriend decided to come visit me and bring his friends with him. Daryl was one of them. So
I have never done that, by the way.
Okay.
Never.
All right, babe. Okay, babe.
Right.
But nevertheless, I literally, although he is no longer with us, he passed away recently, I always give my ex-boyfriend credit for me being Mrs. Jackson today, because when Daryl was a part of that group, he was that quiet guy standing in the back, being totally unassuming. But because of all of that, his silence but strong presence, he caught my eye. But I'm thinking, oh, he's just a friend, so I have to just, I'm going to stick with my boyfriend, right? And just so happened over the, a year or two later of my breaking up with my boyfriend, Daryl we just kind of came full circle, and he and I started to date. So he was 2 years ahead of me. So as a senior, he graduated from high school. We different high schools. I was in 10th grade. He went off to the Marines. And back in the day when, people were writing letters, who does that anymore? Right. We wrote letters, and then just over time, we lost touch. And literally 28 years later, we've not heard from each other or seen each other in 28 years. He came across some old high school pictures of mine, and he wondered, where was Veronica? So where do you go to look for somebody? Facebook.
Everybody know Facebook.
You better know it. So he sent a DM message to me to say, hey, do you remember me? And he loves to brag about this, that I wrote a whole line of OMGs talking about you. Do remember you. And and just the rest was history. We met up, and we were able to catch up over those 28 years, where we both have been married, we both have had children, we both have divorced. And I was okay in my singlehood. I settled in my singlehood. I at that time had been divorced probably 10 years. And I said I knew I was going to get married in my future, and I was okay with that. But in the meantime, and even if I don't get married, I want to enjoy my singlehood. And so when I'm in the midst of doing that, here comes Daryl out of left field and swept me off my feet. And I said, okay, I guess.
I don't know if you see your husband, but he over here brushing his shoulders off.
Right.
Well, he did. Oh my gosh. Yes, he did. He did. And we had an opportunity to blend our children. I have 2 adult children. He has 1. And they just blended so well. And it's now been 7 years. And in fact, I sent Mark Zuckerberg a thank you note and picture of our wedding day.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, she did.
If he was able to find you.
Yes, she did.
He's right. It would not have been, and that would have not been the case, because our paths would have never crossed. Daryl does not do the things I do. As I said tonight, I'm out networking. That's not something he does. Right. So where I was living in Charlotte at the time, he's in Atlanta. So our paths would have never crossed if it were not for social media. So social media, yes, does get a bad rap. But I have had friends who've had lifelong, amazing relationships and marriages through your social dating sites, and yes, even Facebook. And we are an example of that. So that was our connection. But in doing so, as you're back to your question, your original question, I didn't have to ask Daryl of anything. But what Daryl did is he reminded me of what I desired. So I came out of a 15-year marriage where I didn't have that. But in my early adult years as a woman, I am compromising. I am allowing certain behaviors. Yeah, I desired this, but it's okay to do this, you know. But at the same time, underneath, I desired those things. And as I share it with folks, they say, well, why did you divorce? What happened? Well, I'm not one that will bash my ex-husband. Yes, I could tell you a list of things I didn't like about him in our later years, but I own that as well. I own that my marriage didn't work. Well, what was my accountability to that? It was not communicating expectations. And that is so key for not only personal relationships, but even professional relationships. And it wasn't until about 12 to 13 years into my marriage that I learned that. I read books about how men think. I was trying to make it work, okay? Like, how do I get through? What do I do? So I approached my husband at the time. He didn't have meetings to go to. The kids were away. And I read, hey, talk to a man and tell him what your expectations are, right? And you never say, you don't do this for me, or you don't do that for me, because you will put that wall up and you will get nowhere. So I prepared for all of that. And as he sat on the bed and listened tentatively to all of the desires I had, you know, he literally looked at me and he said, but Veronica, that's not me. So 13 years into a marriage, and you have a husband that says, but that's not me. So that means I'm not even willing to go halfway to become whatever that was, right?
Exactly.
So those are your conversations that, as Daryl was talking about from the book, have those conversations in the beginning. But I didn't know to do that, or I just assumed. I assumed because he came from a well-known Black family, mother, father in the home, well-educated, go to church, like you should be this way, or you should know to be this way. I assumed. But 13 years later, and he's telling me, but that's not me. That means, Veronica, now I have to make a decision about my happiness. So do I want to stay in this relationship for the sake of it and be truly unhappy, or do I have to make some other very difficult decisions? And I prayed on it. It took another 2 years for me to decide to do it, but I did it. So again, I was at peace with the decision. So now merging with my relationship with Daryl, it is, so it's kind of funny. It's kind of comical how we compete with each other's love. So we're each other are trying to figure out, how am I going to love that person differently today? So when you guys were talking about who pays for the bill, that's Daryl all day. But guess what? I want to love on my husband too, right? So I'll wait till he goes to the bathroom and I'll take care of the check.
Right.
She does. Yeah. She does.
You know, and because although Daryl is always thinking of others, he's always thinking of me, his wife. He will tell you he does not put himself first in our relationship, but it's my responsibility to do that. And he shares how he has not experienced that with a woman in terms of putting him first, making him that woman's priority. And that's how we love. I shared recently with my niece that in 7 years, Daryl and I have not had what you all would know as a blown out argument. She's like, wow, how is that possible? No, we don't argue. We have the type of love and respect for each other where we know that we will agree to disagree on some things, but we do it in a loving and respectful way. And he keeps me in stitches, so he's very comical. And that's what really keeps that fire lit in our marriage. And he's a cutie too. So what can I say?
So Veronica, I want to ask you a question.
I'm
so he hit you up on Facebook.
Oh, Jesus.
What if what did the courting process look like, or how did it progress from the first message on Facebook to engagement to marriage? What was that timeline and process like?
Oh, wow. That timeline had to be at about 2 years, I want to say, because again, I've gone through 15-year marriage. He's gone through marriage and divorce as well. So you kind of, if it's in your best interest to learn what it is that you want, what's on your list, and if you see it, go for it. So when he reached out to me, I was in Charlotte, he was in Atlanta. Ironically, I was coming to Atlanta for a conference, and so we met up. He picked me up from the hotel, and we went to a nearby restaurant bar, and we talked, and he shared all these amazing pictures that I forgot I gave him in high school.
Wow.
So here I am at the bar crying because we're just
crying in the bar. Yes.
He was like, I didn't want these pictures to make you cry. I was like,
I wasn't trying to.
He wasn't, but it took me to really a true happy place, which was my childhood. So we connected that way. And then unfortunately, about 2 months later, my oldest brother, who also lived in Atlanta, passed away. And so I had to come back to Atlanta. And of course, Daryl, being the supportive at that time friend that he was, he, stopped by the house, after the funeral just to see me and meet my family and all. But what he shared was he watched me. I'm the mother hen. I'm the one that wants to take care of everyone, make sure everybody's okay. I'm running around. And so he observed me doing all of those things. All right. So the next day, he just said, hey, I'm coming to pick you up. And I said, okay. And he said, as I'm driving the car with him, he said, I noticed that you were there and has been there for everybody. Everybody's leaning on you. And I noticed who's taking care of you. So his job that day was to pull me away and just take care and do for me. And when I tell you at that moment, I'm like, who are you and what just happened? Because I'm not used to someone thinking of me and taking care of me, because that's my job as a woman, as a mother, at that time as a sister, aunt, to take care of everyone around me. So we went to a museum, we went out to eat, and it was just all about me. And that was probably the first time a man in my adult years did something as simple but monumental as that was. But that's when I knew, wow, all right, this can really go somewhere. And then I want to say, babe, I think it was that same year my uncle passed. I don't know, it was the same year. Yes. Unexpectedly, Huntsville, Alabama. Daryl and I just came back from a long weekend trip to Mexico. I'm in Charlotte. He's getting ready to go back to Atlanta. My phone is blowing up. And it was, police telling me that my uncle passed, and then I'm the only contact. And without hesitation, Daryl said, when are we leaving? And I'm like, what are you talking about? When are we leaving? So he went to Huntsville with me to help me through a real difficult situation. And it was at that moment that I decided, wow, this man is for me. He literally made me first the entire time. He was there to anticipate my needs. Like, who does that? Most women are the ones who anticipate needs. He was just always one step ahead. And I just knew, and it wasn't something he did, like he was forced to do or was difficult for him to do. He did it with such ease, and it was so natural for him. And I received it in a natural way. And he, just as a side note as well, in the midst of us courting, as we're dating, going back and forth between Atlanta and Charlotte, he would also have these conversations with me. You guys see my picture. I have sister locks. Before my sister locks, I was all natural with the natural Afro puffs and and had it wasn't eccentric, but I had a lighter brown contact lens going on. But Daryl would tell me, why do you wear the contact lenses? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? I love you in your natural self. And I feel like I can say I'm an attractive woman. I feel confident to say that.
Beautiful, baby. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you. But he helped me reach to a deeper level of love for myself that I did not know existed.
Oh, wow.
So he really made me more comfortable in myself. So it wasn't about him being, although he is chivalry, it wasn't all about that. It was him also helping me to really dig deeper in my love for myself. And no man has ever looked and turned to me in such a way. So that's when I knew. So I would say it was about 2 years of courting, and eventually my moving to Atlanta, that we then got engaged and got married. And it's been really awesome ever since.
Okay.
Well, Daryl, how
And
did you
if I
know?
could,
I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
Daryl.
go ahead, Vic.
I'm
Daryl,
sorry. I
how
just
did you know?
just was going to say, if I could add to that a minute,
Mhm.
just real quick, that I have that in my book also, that a lot of the times with women especially, that you all are your own worst and biggest critics. There are so many things about yourself, that you see that the man is not paying attention to. We're not paying attention to your size, your weight, is your hair too short, is it too long? You know, but that's what I found in talking to so many women and asking them questions, that's the biggest hindrance in their relationship. They are so down on themselves and taken away that the man is like, dang, you bumming me out. I love you the way you are, but you making me look at it. So I did put that in my book. There's so many ways you have to stop being so hard on yourself, and what I call self-proclaimed flaws, you're like broadcasting to everybody, especially the man that you're attracted to. And that's the furthest thing from his mind. That's all.
The right man.
Right, the right one, right.
The furthest thing away from the right man.
Right.
That's
So
right.
I have a
That's
question.
right.
I'm glad you just said that, because that was along the line of the question I was gonna ask.
Okay.
So I like makeup. Sorry.
Okay.
I just do. No, I'm just putting this out here, but I'm not like, I don't have to wear it. I feel like makeup is just for like to enhance, like, or make, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I have to put it on, because I don't have to at all. Like I have days where I don't have makeup on. Especially with the pandemic, I didn't wear no makeup. So
Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
so I'm like, okay, I like makeup, you know what I'm saying? I like every once in a while, not caked on like drag queenish, excuse me, but just a little something, you know what I mean? Like I like lipstick, I love, they'll tell you, you know what I'm saying? I like having my hair done, I like my nails done. I'm very artistic. So artistic and creatives are very like, oh my gosh, in your face. I don't have any earrings. Oh my God, embarrassing. You have all this stuff. And I know that right now I'm learning, like you said, some men are like, I don't care about that. But then my next question to that is, would you be okay if I did have that though?
If you did have what?
If I did have the makeup, not even just me, but women in general, if they have the makeup, if they got the long weave, if they got the long nails, if they got all these things that they are being portrayed on TV, really. Some people, that's how they see themselves. So
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So
and go ahead.
No, I'm saying, go ahead. No. You.
No, I was just going to say, and I do cover that in my book, exactly what you just said, exactly what your question is. And the thing is, like I said about actually a lot of things in my book, is personal preference. Okay, it's personal preference for the woman as far as how often you wear it and how much you wear it.
Correct.
And then it's personal preference for the man if he wants to date a woman that wears makeup or not. And most men, it's not a problem. Do your thing. You look good to us. You look good with or without it. The problem, which is in my book, the problem where it gets to a point to be a problem for a man is when you get up the next morning and your face is still on the pillow. That's the problem.
You don't look like
you can't get out the house unless you fully.
That's why I said
That's
enhancement. That's why I said just a little splash here and there, but not I'm creating a whole face. No.
Yeah, I get that. And I also put that in the book. Enhancements, we don't have a problem with enhancements. It's not a problem. I have talked to many women that have, the braided weaves all the way down to the back of their knees. They have the long fingernails, not just regular ones like yours. They have now hair. whatever. I mean, caked on makeup and all this, and those same women look me in my face and say, "I'm looking for a real man." Like, wait a minute, and then you got fake boobies and you got fake booties, and you looking for a real man. And that doesn't make sense to me.
Because I think they're saying it's not like naturally real, but emotionally real. I don't know. I'm just giving the other side. It's not me. I ain't saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I will say, as a woman,
I got that. And like I said, as long as again, it's personal preference. Most guys, even me, we don't have a problem with makeup, fingernails, wear the fingernails, eyelashes, you know, but we just like beauty, you know. And as close as we can get to your natural beauty, then we love it.
Yeah.
We love
And I
you
was
for
going to
you.
say, even for me, I wear makeup too. I wear on special events. I wear the eyelashes. I will do the nail tips, but I do them tastefully, and I do them where they look natural. Yes, where they look natural. And Babe's okay with that. And I love that. But what he's also saying is, without the lashes, without the nail tips, without the weave, I also still love me. Because that will show to the man. If I can get up in the morning without all of that stuff and go out for the day, and I still have that confidence and love in myself, that's going to show in how you relate to your man. It's going to show in your energy and your spirit and your confidence. That's what attracts good men. That's what attracts good men to good women. So it's okay.
Victoria, yes, that definitely is what I was saying. We don't have a problem with that. What we love and what attracts us is when you don't have all that stuff on, you still have that natural everything from confidence, radiance, you know, assuredness in yourself. That's attractive to us, you know. But there's so many women that don't have that stuff on, and they like, oh no, don't look at me, don't look. But they married. I've seen you without all this. No, don't look. Don't. You know, but that natural confidence in yourself, in your own beauty, that's attractive to us.
Yeah. And I want to share a very real example. Daryl knows I'm also part of a couple of sister circles, and the one I'm a part of here in Georgia, most of the women, I want to say, probably except for one or two, are older than me. And we do share. We uplift, we encourage one another. And I have one beautiful, beautiful woman who's like just turned 70, gorgeous, lots full of energy. And believe it or not, she struggles with hair loss. So at the top of her crown of her head, she has a lot of thinning. And she loves her husband dearly. They've been married easy 15 years or so, or more. And she shared how she does not allow her husband to see her without anything on her head. And I'm thinking, wow. Now she can kind of, comb up the hairs on the side and make a little bitty bun at the top. But to her, she is so self-conscious that she cannot go to bed with her husband, who loves her dearly, without a head wrap on her head or something, so he does not see that in her. And my heart was sad, because I look at her husband and I see the love he has for her. It's so deep, it's insane, but her self-confidence and love for herself and her appearance doesn't allow her to do that. So this has nothing to do with age, as you can tell, right? A woman is a woman. So it's all about your attitude and your belief in yourself and your beauty.
Exactly.
So, questions. Okay. So you guys have been married, right? First of all, how long have you guys been married?
7 years.
Okay. Thank you, Lord. 7 years. So 7 years. So you've been married 7 years, and you guys are, I don't know if you guys want to tell your age, but
I am so proud of telling my age. I just turned 56 and he's 57.
Yes, and she still look like she's 30 and fine as I don't know what.
Oh right, baby.
Lord. Okay.
We'll talk after the podcast, okay?
Right.
I'm sorry. I got distracted. I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Y'all lovey-dovey. Yes. Okay. So you guys have been married, 7 years. So you guys also said that you were previously married, right? Both of you. So both of you guys were previously married. What made you say, okay, I'm gonna try again? Okay, because some people, they get married and they say, I'm good. I want to be by myself. I love me. That's it. What made you guys say, well, let's just try and not be fearful? Because I know that's a big issue. People being scared to just try because they don't want to, mess up their lives, I guess, or anybody else. Yeah.
Right.
Carol, I'll let you take that one on your start.
Okay. Well, actually, I think that's probably for both of us, but I'll go. My thing is, and like I told her, she thought that I would not want to be married again since I've been married before, more than once. But as I explained to her, my personal opinion, my personal belief is what makes a marriage good or bad is the people in the relationship, the people in the marriage that makes it good or bad. Marriage as an institution, I believe, is not bad. It's the people in it that make it bad. And so that was the perspective I was coming from, and why I never turned bitter toward marriage or just say I'm done or whatever, because I believe in the institution of marriage and believe that if you're with the right one and the one that was meant for you, that it can be beautiful and a blessing, like what we have. Baby, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just really feel the same way. I mean, I already shared with you guys the outcome of my first marriage and how I decided to peacefully get to a conclusion on that. But I love the concept of marriage. And I knew and I felt in my spirit that was going to be a part of my life eventually, but it had to be with that right person. So I wasn't rushing it. I wasn't putting a timeline to it. Right. And I also made the decision that, you know what, if it's in God's will that I never get married, I'm still going to enjoy my singlehood because that is not taboo to me. It was so liberating to just really kind of get up and do my thing. And I will have to say, in just saying that was the thing with Daryl. Daryl literally came to me and accepted me for exactly who I am today. Not who I can be 5 years ago, or let me see if I can pull her away from doing all these networking events because I want her home more. He knows all of those and accepts everything about me. And for a man to give me that sense of freedom to continue to be me while in a marriage, that was an absolute yes for me. That literally is what helped seal the deal.
So Daryl, how did you know Veronica was the one?
Well, for me, it was more of with us knowing each other since we were 15 in high school. And what I explained to people, what I mean by that is, how what they say, the innocence of kids, the innocence of children, they're going to be who they are, period, regardless, all the time and around anybody. Whereas when you're an adult, you go into clubs or bars, whatever, you have so many people that's faking and fronting, pretending to be this and that or whatever. It's just too many games, So for me, I knew she was the one for me because once we reunited 28 years later, after all, ups and downs, dramas, exes, children, and all that, she was still exactly the same person I knew in high school when we were 15, and most of the mutual friends we have from high school tell her the same thing about me. He's exactly the same. Don't talk that much. He's not that funny. But I am who I am all the time. I might not have a lot to say, but if you need me, call me. And everybody knows that about me. So that's what did it for me, and that's how Maggie, I knew she was the one because she was still the same person, and real, genuine, and real. And that's what I wanted. That's the type of person I am, and that's the type of person I need.
Nice.
To answer your question?
You did, yes.
Yeah. That was, oh wow. All right. So you guys, I had a question, but now I got thrown off because I don't know something. I did. I had a great question. It'll come.
Okay.
But
It'll come back.
it will. All I'm gonna say, I guess, is when you guys were figuring out like if this was gonna work or not, because actually, no. I'm gonna go with this question first, Miss Veronica. So
Yes.
when you had this, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Daryl, he told us that his schedule, he's far or he's gone for so long, and then he comes back. And then how do you handle that? Like, how is it okay for you? Is it because you're busy? You make time? You know what I mean? Like, how do you handle that with him being away and you guys are still kind of, you know?
Yeah, we are. And a lot of people ask us that. But again, if you just kind of, think about kind of my lifestyle before we married. Again, I was, divorced for 10 years before we connected. So I have this life of my own where I was able to work, have my own consulting business, travel, go see my kids, just kind of do my thing, go walk in the park or whatever. And so when we married, again, Daryl accepting me for exactly who I am today, I'm still able to do those things. And then, all right, he's this amazing guy. Yes, I would love to have him home every day, but we talk about our common goals. We have common financial goals. We have dreams for our family. We have visions of what our retirement's going to look like. So guess what? If he needs to go out there for 2 weeks at a time to work, then we know he's doing that for a reason. And one day that's going to come to an end, and we're going to realize this other part of our lives that we've dreamed about. But what do we do in the meantime? So yeah, he's on the road, but we're talking to each other 2 or 3 times a day. We always talk to each other each night to tell each other we love each other. We never hang up the phone before doing that. And so, and of course you have the age of, videos so we can actually see each other when we're to FaceTime, all those sort of things. So it really helps us through the process. But knowing, and we have some tough times. There are some times when he said, I got to be out here 3 weeks versus 2, and we start to feel it, but we talk to each other more, and we always keep in mind why we're doing this. We're doing this because, so that gets us through. And then when he does come home, yes, I have my honey-do list. It's about usually about a page or 2 long. Right. But we work together, and he knows I'm kind of a tomboyish too, because I grew up around my brothers. I'm the only girl in my family, so I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind picking up a hammer or lifting something. And so it's fun for me to be home when he's home, to work on house projects together. But we also make sure we have baby time. And, baby time is whatever baby wants to do. So whether it's going out on a date or staying home and do movie time, whatever that is. And it just makes the little time we have of high quality. And when he does have to get back out on the road, I consume my time to help me get through. So I have a pretty demanding and consuming job. I'm an executive director. I run a senior living facility. I have staff and residents that, need my help. And so guess what? I can work late if I choose to. That's when I do my best work, because my husband's not home. I have to run home and cook dinner. Right. So it really helps pass the time. So it's work for us. Our marriage started off that way. So knowing and experiencing that from day one, it's not this crazy impact for us now 7 years in. It just really works. And I think about our military. This is Veterans Day, and we're more in tune to our military. I mean, look at those families. Look at those wives who are raising little kids, and their husbands are deployed for years, and they don't see them. So I'm like, you know what? When I look at that situation, I can handle missing my husband for 2 weeks. I'm okay. So it's those perspectives I keep in mind when I literally wake up each day and he's not next to me.
So, okay, this is one other question. I think it's starting to come back a little bit. So, Miss Veronica, which, by the way, my name is Victoria, but I get called Veronica all the time. It's okay.
And I get called Victoria.
I don't understand.
Including tonight, I was called Victoria.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, That doesn't even sound alike, but
I know.
okay, I'll take
I'll
it.
take
Right, I'll take it. So let me ask you this: when you guys married each other, did you have any naysayers to say, I want to marry him? He been married before. Oh, well, no, he did this, he did that. This is who I know. I mean, and what did you do to quiet those voices and get your happiness?
Wow, that's a real good question. I'll respond, Daryl. If you want to chime in, you can. I would say on my family side, my friends, they were ecstatic because again, I had been divorced for 10 years. So, to have this man just step in the room, they were like, oh my God. So they were so happy. They called me giddy. I was like a little high school giddy girl. Every time I talked about him, or they were like, oh yeah, he's the one if he's got Veronica acting like this. So on my side of the world, in my circles, I did not have the naysayers. I did have my adult children that I wanted to be okay with this. So Daryl was so cool. Unbeknownst to me, he actually took my adult children out for lunch, and he shared with them his intentions. And again, unbeknownst to me, and my son, who's like my protector, he really respected that about Daryl. So my kids were really happy for me and on board with me. Now, on Daryl's side of the world, I will let him speak for himself. That may be a little different because he was out of his last marriage, for a short time before we got married, and people, even including his mother, was like, should you just wait a little longer just to make sure, but Daryl, I'm gonna let you speak to that if you don't mind.
Yeah, on my end, I really didn't have many any naysayers, so to speak, and actually probably what she just said about my mother may have been the only thing. But again, that was being a protective mom, are you moving too fast, too soon, or whatever. So I really didn't have any because everybody knows me ever since I've been a kid. I'm a lone wolf and I do my own thing, whether you like it or not. I mean, I've always been like that.
Yeah.
Because you can't live my life, you know what I mean? But I did want to add to what she was saying about what was the last question? About me being away from home. That's right. Yes. I'm being away from home so long. I did want to put out there for the guys especially, but for some of the ladies too, that truck drivers have, and I've been doing this 30 years, but a lot of truck drivers have given us reputations that we have women in every state we go
every
to.
Stop.
They have.
Every stop.
Yes. There's a lot of guys out there that do. They have women all across the country.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But my wife can confirm that since she met me and known me at 15 years old in high school, I grew up in the projects. So we grew up poor. We ain't had no money. And she knows, and I tell everybody that I'm money motivated. If I'm in all these different states around the country, I'm not working. I'm spending time with you. I'm not working. I got to spend money on you. If you got kids, I got to spend money on your kids. And I'm not making money. That don't work for me. I'm money motivated. You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting that people are surprised that I did not have women, especially 30 years, all across the state, all across the country or whatever. I'm money motivated. I didn't like growing up poor, and I ain't going back.
So silly.
So my point is
say,
that also as, I'm sorry, babe. I just want to say that also adds, and I put in my book, to my wife's sense of security, knowing that I'm all over the country and there's no way that she can know anything I'm doing, but because she knows that about me, and again, my personal standards, she knows and she can feel secure, us being away from each other that long. And that's in my book for, under security. For women, what women want. One thing, security.
Amen.
That's like, security is
number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That security makes you feel very comfortable. It does.
Protected.
Yeah. And you don't have to feel like you gotta watch your man or check up behind him or call him every 20 minutes, because that, to me, that means you don't trust me.
Right.
if we don't have trust, then what are we building here? What do we have?
Amen.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was on the phone the other day with a guy friend. And it just so happened, I'm telling you, he's a friend. And
Okay.
I was telling him, so I was on a dating site, and I was like, I see you on that dating site. And he was like, what? I ain't on that dating site no more. I've been out for 3 months. And I was like, okay, well, I seen you on it. And then he was like, I gotta call and check it and make sure it's right. And he was like, that happened to my friend one time, and he's married, and you know how y'all women are. And I was like, well, what do you mean? How are we? He was like, if your girlfriend came up to you and was like, I seen your husband on the dating site, what you gonna say? And I was like, well, it depends on the relationship you had with your husband. I was like, if you don't trust your husband and got a negative husband that you think might be stepping out on you, then you gonna think he's stepping out on you and got a profile. But I was like, if not, if you trust your husband, you gonna go to your husband and be like, babe, somebody stole your photo. They use
you done got hacked.
People out here. So I told him, I was like, you
got hacked.
A woman always gonna think her man cheating. And I was like, and I wouldn't think that. I was like, if I was married and my girlfriend came up and be like, Tanya, we saw your husband on the dating website, I'm gonna be like, girl, somebody out there catfishing with my man face. I'm like, I'm positive because I'm gonna be trusting my man. And he was just like, huh? And I was like, okay, if you in a marriage, you should trust your husband. That says a lot.
Yeah, and my husband brags about that a lot too, because he always says that I know where his phone is more than he does. I mean, we know the codes to our phones. Like he can leave, I can go through his phone and look up pictures and hey, check out your Facebook on this, and he's comfortable with it. We're comfortable with each other on that, and people really like, wow, you really do that, and it's like, yeah, it's okay, and all of that, those are little gestures, but they're really big deal. It really is. If I have a male friend, say coming in town, I'm gonna say, hey, hun, I'll just throw out a name. Stephen is coming here from my university. He's one of our university alumni. We're gonna go to dinner. He's okay with that. He trusts me, and I will let him know, hey, I got here. I'm gonna have my dinner. I'm gonna call him when I'm in my car on the way home. Hey, I got home safe. We are so secure with ourselves. Therefore, it allows us to be secure together.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand. I'm sorry. A lot of people don't understand that it's just those little things along the way that adds to the other person's sense of security. If you ducking and dodging and going to the other room every time you get a call, it's raising doubt and it's raising questions. Correct. And that's when the relationship starts to break down.
Yep.
Right. So yes or no question for both of you guys, the married couple on here. Because I had a conversation with someone the other day. Can you love someone but not trust them?
Maggie, this ain't your question.
Right, Maggie. Well, I come to my sisters in a minute. I want to know what the couple thinks. Can you love somebody but not trust them? Not you.
Babe, I want to hear your answer first.
Hey, well, actually, the ladies, I think you all know me well enough by now with everything I said tonight, of how I am and who I am, So my question is from the man's point of view. I can love somebody, love a woman, but not trust them. But again, my personal standards, if I love you, but I don't trust you, then, we're probably not going to last. We're probably not going to go all the way. If we're already married, we're not going to go to marriage. But if we're already married, then we need to have some serious conversations and or counseling, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Because if I don't trust you, then I don't have anything to build on. And if we're already married, that means you did something to break my trust, and I got a problem. So we need either to talk to each other or get a professional counselor and talk about it to see if either we or I can get past it. And if I can't, then I'm done. There's nothing I can do because I don't have anything to build on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And actually, that you are the male perspective, as your book says. It was a male who said that same exact thing you said. Okay.
Really?
So,
Yeah. And okay. And Veronica, your take on that?
yes.
Well, yeah, my take truly is that yes, you can love someone and not trust them, but it's what you do with that relationship that will determine what your future will be like. So as Daryl said, if it's a relationship type of deal, you gotta have some conversations and make some decisions. I can love you from afar, but I'm not with you because I don't trust you. So you truly can have both of those feelings, but it's just how you respond to those feelings that will determine what your experience with that person will be like going forward and in the future.
Yes. Okay. Okay, Maggie, you always, you know what you do. So
yes. But before I ask the final question, I did want to say, hey, Soror Veronica, you have
I was about to say that too.
on the phone.
Hello.
Yes, Maggie and Victoria are both Deltas.
Yes, we are. That's right.
All right.
Yes.
Just to let you know. I saw that too. It was coming. I was gonna say, and
Oh,
I have another, you know. Okay, thank you.
And Miss Shauna put that in the chat. So I was like,
Oh,
okay.
yep, Miss Shauna.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
You move like a Delta. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
She
talking
does.
to her.
Her
She got her
yes.
business. She got this. Oh, I do this. I do that. I do this. I do that. And I got a husband.
Okay,
And I
she
still
got it
come
all.
home and I make the home cooked meal, y'all. Come on now.
Come on, I play around. I mean, I do. I
Yeah,
love
she make those moves. That's why her husband got that new Audi she driving.
Okay. So, Maggie.
So our final question for you guys is we always pose it to our couples. What's either a word of advice, a word of wisdom, something that you would leave with our audience, whether single or married, just anything from this hour of discussing with us that you're like, you know what, this is one last thing I would like to leave with you guys.
Okay,
what would that be?
All right. Well, I will share, and then it just only makes sense for my husband to in this amazing podcast session tonight, given we are all talking about his amazing book. But I would say truly as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, and all of those things, my advice to the audience, to couples, to women in particular, is to first love yourself and know what that means. That was a lesson I learned later in my adult life. What is it that I love and enjoy and want? Love yourself first. And again, with any relationship with you're in, whether you're dating, courting, engaged, getting married, or truly just being close friends, communicate your expectations. Don't assume because we have similar things in common that we have similar stances on a lot of things in life. Communicate your expectations, and it's okay to do that. And when you find that you're in a relationship or um, um, entertaining a relationship where those expectations are not in line, be okay to walk away because there is truly someone there. And if you try to force yourself onto who's ever in front of you, you're cutting yourself off to who God has blessed and ordained to come your way. So that is what I will leave the audience.
Thank you.
Amen.
Hubby?
Okay. If I had to leave something with everybody, I would say with what I say actually throughout my book is one, you have to have honest, sincere communication. Along with loving yourself, you have to be honest with each other. You know, a lot of times people, again, fake and front and put on airs or whatever, but then as a relationship grows and goes on, to one person, it seems like the other person is changing when they're actually not. They're actually being who they really are. They just put on a face, you know, to get you in the first place. And the second thing I would say, which I say throughout my book, is what I said earlier, is that it's so many, and I can almost say too many ladies that give the man the cookies or their reward, a prize or trophy before he even runs the race. You know what I mean? You can't make demands and start demanding him to change after you've already given him sex, what he wanted. You know, so be patient, and it'll come, especially if it's the right one. And the last thing, and on that same note, I'll end with, a lot of people find the one that's meant for them and find true love when they stop looking.
True that.
Well, all right.
Okay. So,
He was just saying.
no, it's the truth. So we need you to, last thing, Mr. Daryl Jackson, to plug your book again. We'll put it in the chat so that these people can follow you and get some of that good reading. There it is right there. Y'all see it. It's available on Amazon. Just put it on Google and you'll find where you can buy. Read it. What does it say?
Available. Not hard to find. How to find or be a good man from a man's point of view. It is available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.
Boom. And it's not just for women, men.
Right.
Men, it could be a read for you as well. So
Yes.
I think that's wonderful. We love you guys so much. Sarah, Veronica, thank you.
Thanks so much for having
Thank you all.
And Mr.
Thank you
Daryl
all
Jackson,
very much
since
for
you want
having
to
us.
see
I
the
appreciate
children,
it.
it's amazing, that you came and you just so happen to be like you've known us since we were kids. So we're grateful to have you. And guys, everyone who's watching, you already know what to do. Okay, you follow us, like our page, comment, say whatever you want to say. If you're ever interested in coming to the show, please let us know. You guys stay safe out there. They talking about something, we not in a pandemic no more. I said, okay, if that's what you feel, then you stop telling people to get shots. But okay,
That's right.
I mean, if that's what you're saying, if that's what the world is saying, that's what I just see on the news. Sorry, I just want to put that out there. But just be safe. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. We value you for your service. We value you for your service.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. So everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we will see you guys later.
All right, bye.